Hi, I'm Dom, head coach of the London Royal Ravens.
And I'm Shane, assistant coach of the London Royal Ravens. And today we're going to be going over some key points going into the Stage 4 Major. So Dom, obviously going into the Stage 4 Major now, back on LAN as well, which is obviously a big deal for a lot of people. Everyone's missed LAN, playing online is obviously, I mean, we've been pretty blessed to be able to still play online with everything that's been going on in the world, but you know, nothing beats competing under the lights, and every player will agree with us. What are you expecting going into this major?
Generally, I feel like the first LAN event's going to feel weird to be back. Even for like experienced players that have played at the highest level, been to multiple events. I just feel like after 14 months of no events, going back is going to feel kind of off, I'd say. But in a sense, it might feel refreshing and new for newer players that have come into the league over the last year. So,
I mean, yeah, I'm excited as well. It's like, I feel like we've got a whole bundle of new players that, not to discredit them, but may not be in the position as they are today if it wasn't, you know, for the league jumping back to online. And that's not saying they're going to go to LAN and not perform as well. That goes the same for any experienced or new player. But I think the players that will go, that came into the burst into the scene last year, they've now got all the confidence they need to be great players on LAN as well as they are online. And I always think that's always been the difference, is the confidence and say the experience versus the top teams that, you know, that the players before never had the chance to. And a lot of these players that have been picked up now, they're going to be going into this event with all the confidence in the world that have probably been discredited over the last year or so simply because of it's online. And honestly, I personally think every single player that have maybe been an unknown amateur player who's now one of the top tier players in the game, they're going to be totally fine come LAN anyway.
Obviously, we're not in a good situation right now, but Stage 4 Major can be a big turnaround for us. We technically need to have a big performance this event, as well as other things going our way to catch up technically in terms of points. But the team's feeling confident. We've been working a lot on just gaining chemistry between us, overall teamwork, just the fundamentals of playing as a team pretty much. I firmly believe we have the talent to compete with all these other top teams. It's just about making it click and putting it together on the map.
And obviously going into LAN, we have got players with experience who competed on the big stage, performed really well against the best teams in the world, in Shawnee and Alex. And then obviously with Paul and Afro, not so experienced on the big stage as the other two, but like just knowing them as people, they're both extremely confident people, and that does tend to always carry over to competing at LAN, playing in front of a big crowd, playing on the big stage next to your opponents. I think it does come down to like a confidence thing, like a lot of the time, either in game and out of game. A lot of the time it's both. So I think we have all of that, and if we can use our next week to make this tick, then we could be a very dangerous team on the day.
I feel like Paul and Afro themselves will be perfectly fine at LAN. Like Shane said, they're really confident players. They're mature. They understand what it takes to win. And like I said before, this LAN is going to feel completely different to what we're normally used to anyway. And crowd or no crowd, I feel like they'll be perfectly fine.
So obviously, not only do we need to have a big performance, in an ideal world as well, we'll need some other teams to underperform, which is not the position we wanted to be in. But you know, all the stuff that we've went through the season with the roster changes with visas and stuff like that, it is what it is, you know, but we can pull ourselves out of it. But obviously we need a little bit of luck on our side, and then one of those little bits of luck is honestly ideally teams like Florida, Minnesota, LA and LAG to like start having some bad performances, which is in this game it can happen. You can go into a rough patch, confidence can drop, and you know that can happen. Obviously it's not nice for players to go through that, but between them and Minnesota, I honestly couldn't care less whoever starts underperforming. But as long as we can take over one of them, take that A spot, that's all that matters to me.
No, I completely agree. I feel like ever since Florida made that team change to bring Havoc in, I feel like they've been on an uptrend, and I personally can't see them really falling off too hard. It's unfortunate for us, but just based on their current form, I just personally can't see it. Minnesota, on the other hand, I feel like there's a higher chance of them maybe dropping off, but it just leaves us in a tough situation, because realistically, we have to hope one of these teams fall off, and then we also need to perform at our highest level and get points back to make playoffs.
Of course, and then Atlanta, obviously. ever since that final loss to Toronto, Dom, you'll agree with me. Sometimes I feel bad for sticking our guys in the warm-up scrim versus them, because Jesus, they're a frightening team at the moment. And then honestly, in my 10 years of competing, I haven't been able to give enough top teams that much credit. With these guys, I can. They're genuinely an extremely dangerous team. They have all the teamwork, all the discipline, and then when the teamwork doesn't work for them, they also have all the raw talent in the world. And like I said, Dom, we've watched them at first hand so many times, and I feel like every team in the game can take a lot from them. So I'm excited to see what they can do. And then obviously New York as well. I have to give props to that team. Gone with Clayster. I mean, we kind of ripped that team off at the start, and Clayster's quite clearly a massive X factor, and he's had a big impact on those players. What do you think about like people like Hydra coming into the scene and stuff like that?
In terms of Hydra, like even last year we were watching him quite a lot in the challenger scene in Europe, and you know we could see what a talent he was. Our biggest worry with him, or my opinion on him, was just that his comms wouldn't be up to par. But you know, he's clearly showing how good he is and what he actually brings to that New York team since he's come in. I feel like we also need to touch on Mac a little bit, because in the last 2 weeks he's been putting up some big performances. I feel like him and Asim are a big factor in that team's success. And I feel like if both of them play well and up to par, they're a hard team to beat. So.
And then you have teams like obviously Optic, and another one. They were struggling a little, not necessarily struggling, but they've gone for a little bad patch like maybe a month or so ago. But I think you'll agree from practice as well, Dom. They are when we practice against them, they've definitely got a lot better in practice too. I feel like it's starting to click now, just at the right time of year. They still have to. I still regard if they beat someone like Atlanta, it is going to be an upset because it's such a talented roster. But with that roster, their amount of experience, and then obviously having Envoy regarded as the chosen one in the London camp. So like I said, they're another one, another scary team to watch out for.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like Optic have been showing a lot of like a uptrend in practice, well, against us specifically, and I feel like they're only improving. They're one of the teams that I'd probably point out to say that being back at LAN and being in that environment will help them a lot.
And then obviously going into Toronto, they're a team that shocked everyone this year. I mean, I feel like we had one bad day versus them a few months back, and Jesus, their confidence started rolling from there. And I give them that. You can see when you watch them, when anyone plays against them, they've got extremely good teamwork. The confidence is quite clearly there, and their clutch factor, I mean, they have one of the best things in anything competitive, to be honest, where they're still clutching games out, even when they're playing bad. I'd like for us to have a little row with them, to be honest, at LAN, because obviously we're all friends of them. A lot of our guys have known their guys for a long time. I've teamed with Marky B before. I think Dom has as well. So, and I always had a good record playing against him at LAN myself. So you know what I mean. I mean, worst comes to worst, I might have to sub Shane in. Give me a run out versus Toronto. Probably went terribly, but anything to get my hands around Marky B, that would do.
Well, that's why we got you on the bench. But yeah, now just to touch on that a bit, I feel like you're completely right. They're obviously flying right now in confidence, winning so many clutch games, and just moments where you need to just ice up and finish out games. Obviously, it gives them even more confidence going forward. And I feel like once you have that belief in your team that you can just win in every situation or any situation, regardless of like if your back's against the wall, that just bolsters how much confidence and your momentum going forward, pretty much. Overall for us, I'm looking forward to getting back to LAN, seeing how our team performs at a different environment. We've been working really hard for the last few weeks to cement our little issues that we have. Obviously, some of the performances that we've shown recently haven't been up to par, but we're taking time to adapt and find out what works for us and how we have to play as a team. I am relatively confident about the way we can perform at LAN, regardless of having two amateur players that haven't really played at the highest level in that sort of environment before. Like Shane said before, like they're both confident, and having two rocks like Sean and Alex, who have plenty of LAN experience, who show up on the big stage, will only help them. And I feel like we have a good chance going forward. Ideally, we play teams like Florida and Minnesota. like somewhere down the run, so we can potentially beat them and then have a better chance at catching up on points and making the difference closer.
So thanks for watching me and Don babble on for the last however long. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more.